I've got my coffee. Have you? It's time for the inbox.
This is Double Tap, where blind people talk tech. Here's Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Oh, I do love when we do coffee and inbox. You all right? What's wrong? You
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I was weeing away there.
Oh, we didn't hear you.
And I was wee. So YouTubers, if you see me making funny faces, wee. There you go. Thank you.
That is it. Beautifully audio described. Well done, Shaun Preece. Everyone will be happy. I'm pretty sure that's exactly how they want to do it. You're not with it? What's wrong?
I'm not with it today. I don't know. Yeah, I've got a cup of tea here. I think I'm going to have to take a swig while you film.
Not tea. That's
I'm
wrong.
Take it. No one listen.
Okay, no one listen. Hang on. There you go.
That's better. Oh, that's terrible tea I've made. Well done. Okay, let's do it.
Dishwasher tea, is it? Because that's
you can hit record now. I'm ready.
Oh, too late, Shaun. We're already on.
Oh, hello, listeners.
We're on. This is it.
What are we doing today?
I know. It's hard to tell the difference between our regular conversations in life and we're actually doing the show, but we are actually here now.
Well, should we talk about our pre-show conversation, Stephen Scott, where you, I think, exclaimed, wouldn't be too strong a word, how great Windows is.
I'm always saying that.
Yeah, and then you're saying, oh, no, it's terrible. I love the Mac. But
that's right.
I'm just saying,
I say that
off
as well.
there, you said it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm getting on with it.
Okay, don't play it down.
So, by the way, I meant to give you a little update on this. So, you remember we were having issues. Well, I was having issues. I think
yes,
you will be having issues very soon with this. But I was having issues.
Is that a threat?
Yes. You were having issues. Well, I was having issues. You got me all confused here.
Have a coffee.
I'm trying to speak. So I was having issues with my Lenovo laptop, and it was taking 8 seconds to respond. It was a bit like this conversation. It was fighting its way to say
it was muted.
What it was trying to say, and I couldn't get it to work. Anyway, or get it improved. Well, I did go off and download Lenovo Vantage, which a lot of you got in touch and said you really got to try Lenovo Vantage software. There's 2 versions available, and they're actually in the Microsoft Store, which was new to me. I kind of go there more now to see is this in there, before I start heading off to the web to try and find it. And it's
not a total disaster.
Actually, I find it fine. I find it quite pleasant to get around.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
But I use JAWS now, so, just saying.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. The search result, I still want to do the headings. I want to navigate like it's a website.
No, you just tab around it. Just tap. You'll
come
get
on,
there.
I'm advanced. I'm a professional user.
Hang on a second.
Sorry, carry on.
Legally, we have to do that, Shaun. Sorry,
yes,
it's very important. The lawyers will wake up.
I can't argue.
And realise what we've done. So I did install, there's 2 versions. There was Lenovo Vantage and there's Lenovo Commercial Vantage. Now, I don't know if one has ads or one is, I don't know what it is, but I think one might be for business. There was a suggestion I should download that one, but I didn't. I downloaded Lenovo Vantage and they've changed it. It's now a web view, which it wasn't before. It used to be a fairly old standard app design, but now it's a web view. Actually, it isn't the most accessible in the world, but it's not the most inaccessible either. You can use it. You can get around it. You can get to system updates. You can check for updates. You can install all the drivers. So it did go off and check, and I could read everything. I mean, that's the key, right? I mean, the layout was maybe a bit questionable. But, you could arrow up and down once you were in the right area and find the information you were looking for. And I was able to find out the drivers that were required. I installed them, and good news, it's working now. It is absolute heaven.
So it was a driver issue, we think?
Well,
or did it just sort itself out given enough time?
Who knows?
Is it coincidence?
Right? It could be conspiracy. They could be out to get me.
The new version, the web-based or web wrapper or whatever it is version.
Wrapper.
I would say.
Doesn't sound right, does it?
No, it doesn't really. Not when you say it.
It doesn't sound. It sounds like I'm saying something really rude.
The previous
Shaun, you
version,
are a whapper.
Please. The previous version, I'm ignoring this. The previous version was, when it comes to accessibility, exactly the same as well. You could tab around and it would read things out, but it was, didn't make a lot of sense when it came to navigation. I think I had to use the review mode a few times to get to certain things. So it's no worse. And it is, as you said, you can use it, but it's not a lovely experience.
Have you tried this new one?
I haven't, no.
Yeah.
I've took it off. I don't use it anymore. But I just assumed that every BIOS update and third-party driver update would be available through the Windows Update section in settings anyway. Advanced, optional extras, optional downloads. And I go in there. But maybe not. Maybe I should put this back on.
I think it's good for getting very specific, drivers for your device. I think otherwise what Windows is doing is giving you generic drivers for everything. It may even be Lenovo or from Lenovo themselves or from your particular manufacturer, but it will be generic versions of those drivers. Whereas with the software, it can tell you, it's telling me all kinds of things about the computer. I now know it's a T14S Gen 2. That's old. They're up to Gen 6 now, for goodness sake. That's it. It's on eBay. I'm getting rid of it. I'm not having that rubbish in my house. No, it's not.
It's just going in your attic. What are you
exactly.
About?
Or it's going to you. Yeah, exactly. It's going to you. I gave you, what was the one I gave you? It was a nice little machine. It was an X13, I think it was, the Lenovo ThinkPad.
Yeah, Lenovo. Yeah, it's so dinky.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's tiny, yeah. And it's fast enough. It does its thing. Only 8 gig of memory, I noticed, though, Stephen Scott. I thought that was a bit tight.
That's why it was in your bag and not mine. And these were sent to me by Lenovo. Interestingly, the X13 was sent to me and it didn't work. It just had major problems. And I reported that back to Lenovo, and they said, "Oh, look, no problem. We'll get you a new one sent out." They sent me out the new one that I'm using now, and I said, "Okay, I'll send you this one back." And they said, "No, keep it." And a friend was over one night, and he said, "Let me have a look at it. I'll have a look at it." Of course, he can see, right? So he's into it all, and he's into the BIOS, and that's exactly what he did. He went, and then all of a sudden, it worked. And I thought, oh, brilliant. So I obviously reported that immediately back to Lenovo and said, "Oh, you must now absolutely take back the..."
take it.
Yeah, that didn't quite happen. So thank you, Lenovo. But I don't think they were particularly bothered anyway. But I will say, it is a nice little machine, but it does only have 8 gig of RAM. And I don't think they do that one now. I don't see that one coming up much anymore. It's more the sort of ThinkPad range. It's more like T14 or P14.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we've got P43, which must be at least 6 years old now. I'm assuming.
Great machines, though. Really
still
great
a lovely
machines.
machine. It sounds like we're being sponsored by Lenovo.
I know. It feels that way.
We're absolutely not. But, I just can't argue that lately the machines have been really nice.
Do you know what? I know it sounds, and I get so many hate emails about this. You wouldn't believe the people who write in and say, "Are you serious?" Yeah, mainly from you. But there are people who say, "Oh, I can't believe I'm listening to this. It's like listening to the 1990s all over again. Oh, it's got an insert key." I like having an insert key, and I also like having dedicated home and end buttons. I like having dedicated page up and down buttons, and the Lenovo ThinkPads have all that. So on the cursor set of keys, you got the up and down, the invert T shape of cursor keys, up, down, left, right. And then above the left and right key, you have that dedicated page up and page down button. At the very top, you've got a little section of 4 buttons: home, end, insert, and delete. I like that. So, that if you like the physical keys and you don't have to swap out a key to become an insert key, or you don't like using the caps lock key, hi, that's me. Although I'm starting to get into it. I am starting to get there because there are certain key commands it's easier to use the caps lock key with, if you're on that side of the keyboard versus, trying to sort of have your hands spider all over the keyboard to get all the different commands. I think my favorite was insert, control, and M on the new Outlook to get you to the message list on the new Outlook. And I'm like, that's a really awkward one if you're using insert. Yeah. Caps lock, much easier. Caps lock, control, M, and then you've got the message list up on Outlook.
I've been using that Keychron of yours.
Oh,
the one I laughed at you about.
You did?
Okay.
You
mechanical.
You poo-pooed my
I did
keyboard.
not poo-poo it. I simply dismissed it out of hand.
Oh, that's worse.
An old style, I would say. With the function keys all in their groups of 4, it just seems like, wow, this is going back to the IBM keyboard days. But
that's right.
Do you know what? It is a really nice keyboard to type on. That Keychron, which one is it?
Oh,
is it the V5 Max, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
The only thing is because it's what do they call it? A 90% keyboard.
75%, I think that one is.
Is it even smaller? That's a disgrace. So you have the separate cursor keys, but above that, you don't have the panel of 6. So you don't have the home, insert, page up, page down.
Oh, so you like them, do you?
I do prefer the full keyboard. Yeah, and I must admit, since using using more the screen reader review modes, I'm using that numpad a lot more.
So hang on, are you saying
understand
that actually using more of the screen reader has kind of made you realise that, those extra keys that were just, alien
Apart
to
from
you?
insert, which is in a ridiculous place and doesn't matter, caps lock is much better. It's absolutely fine.
That's what put me off buying the Surface laptop. I would love to buy a Surface laptop. I really love the Surface laptop, not the Pros. Don't like that kickstand thing. Cannot understand it.
Best computer I've ever
The machine
had.
is great, no doubt, but I don't like that kickstand design. So you have the option of buying a Surface laptop, but it doesn't have an insert key. So I don't buy it.
All right, well, don't buy it then.
I'm not
It's fine.
going to.
You use the caps lock key instead and still have a fantastic computer.
Yeah.
All right, okay,
I
fine.
mean, it's so funny. I say this. I always say this. And then I buy a machine like that and it sits on a desk with an external keyboard connected to it with all the keys I need. So it's like, well, it doesn't actually matter at all.
It doesn't.
But, yeah.
There was Logitech. I saw a review the other day of a new Logitech. I say new, it's been out a while now. Logitech mechanical keyboard, right? It's all about the typing experience. I mentioned this because of the Keychron typing experience. I believe is it Atlas it's called? Anyway, a new Logitech keyboard. And above the numpad, they've put the home and page up, page down keys. Okay, so fine, they're still there. But what they've done, that home key is also doubles as the delete key.
Oh, dear.
So if you want to use it as a home key, you need to press the function key and the home key or stroke delete key.
That's terrible.
I think, could that be any worse of a design of accidentally deleting stuff when you mean to go to home? I mean, it just utterly blows my mind. And apart from that, it's meant to be a really nice keyboard, but I think that would totally throw me. It's those designs, those thoughts and decisions. You think, what were people thinking?
There's a gaming keyboard, which I had for a while. I've got these. I got a different version of it, the G915, which you got hands on with as well when you were up here. I got the G915 TKL, which is short for 10 keyless, which basically means it doesn't have a numpad. And,
10 keys less.
10 keys less, yeah. And it was a really nice keyboard. The full-size one, the non-TKL one, the one with 10 keys more, so TKM, it was a really lovely keyboard, but it had 5 function keys immediately to the left of the last keys on the keyboard. So if you imagine you've got the control key, and then above that you've got shift, and you've got caps lock, and you've got tab, and all the rest. Immediately to the left of that, you had a vertical set of 5 function keys that you could assign to anything you wanted. Now, the problem was that by default, they were set as function keys, F1 to F5, which meant that the key on the far left of your computer was F5. So you're on a website, you're doing something, and you accidentally think you've hit control, but you've actually hit F5 and you've refreshed the website and you've lost everything. Like if you're on a WordPress site, you're typing something in. It was the worst experience. I hated it. I absolutely hated that keyboard for that because it was just such a weird design. I get it from a gaming point of view, I suppose. People want quick access to things. And you would obviously specify what you would want on those keys anyway. It doesn't have to be the F1 to F5. But even so, I thought, wow, that is just
as a
so
default,
weird.
Again. But then you're thinking, is that just because screen reader users? Most people won't even think about that.
Well,
F5
yeah,
for
I mean,
refresh
also
is
bear in
system
mind,
command.
for us, a lot of it is about, having it's muscle memory to some degree, but we are feeling our way around the keyboard all the time. That's why I have I did have all my bump dots on my
awful
keyboard.
idea.
They're all falling off. And then it's left with that sludge. The remains. It's like do you know what it's like? Bump-ons, I've realised after a period of time, turn into snails. They turn into little snails. They leave a little trail of mess.
Membrane. Yes, they do. Yes.
It's disgusting.
You don't need them, Stephen Scott. Once you familiarise yourself with a keyboard's layout, you just don't need
I like
them,
I like a bump on.
All right. Okay. Should we
Anyway,
get to the emails now?
goodness, I've got my coffee. We're getting cold. Shall we get some emails? Come on.
Yes.
Email. We get email. We get your email every day.
And voicemails.
Drinking your
Here's
tea.
your mail today.
Oh, you having your drink there?
Shh, don't come to me yet. Hang on. Hello.
It's too late. I don't control it.
Oosh. Sorry.
Yeah, well done. Right, shall we dive in? Let's kick off. I think I'm going to say Callie, but it might be Collie. I'm not quite sure how this pronunciation is
find
going
out.
here. Let's see
Mystery.
how. I'm using Libby as my voice on NVDA here on this little computer, and it's
From
saying
Blast Bay?
it's saying Collie, but it could be Callie. Anyway, let's find out.
Hello there, Stephen, Shaun, and the Double Tap family. I am by no means an expert or even a person who likes tech, but I just wanted to drop a line about your recent conversations about how good a camera needs to be in order to use the various blindness-specific apps. I am currently using a Pacific Blue iPhone 12 Pro from 2020, running iOS 26.0.1. My experiences using Seeing AI, Ira, and Be My Eyes have not changed since I began using those apps in December 2020. I purchased the iPhone 12 Pro because of the cameras. Not knowing much about blind tech since I only lost my vision in the spring of 2020, I figured I would purchase this latest iPhone to give me the best outcomes. It was great on day one and absolutely nothing has changed 5 years later. OCR and product scans occur flawlessly. Ira agents and Be My Eyes volunteers have no issues seeing through my camera. The camera that in 2020 could read 10-point font or smaller is still able to do so. When Ira Agent or Be My Eyes volunteers ask me to adjust the placement of the camera during a call, they are able to see what it is I need them to see. I take good care of my phone and do not plan to update until my phone will not take any new iOS updates. Appreciate your show and the community built around it. Warmly, Callie.
That was Callie. There you go. Thank you, Callie. Not Collie. Sorry, Collie.
Yes,
Callie.
well done. That's a screen reader for you. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Look, there may be. I kind of look at this whole discussion about, this camera's better. It's going to make a difference when it comes to these blind apps such as OCR or, agent support. It's kind of the same of these headphones sound a little bit better than these other headphones. I think for the most people, you won't notice any difference whatsoever. And especially when it comes to OCR, we reached a level a long time ago where the camera was more than enough, more than capable when it comes to megapixels, resolutions and everything to do a good job. So, yeah, I tend to agree with you as well. Although I still would like to talk to someone, who works on the dashboard at Ira, for example, to say, have you actually got any controls to switch the type of camera you're using to a wide lens or telephoto or anything like this? I don't know.
Yeah, I often think when you buy a new phone, it's that placebo effect. Oh, it feels so much more quick and, faster. And is it though? I often think, is it? Because after a few weeks of using it, and then you actually go back to say, if you've still got your previous generation, and I've done this a few times, it feels exactly the same. I think there's actually no major difference here at all. It just there's a placebo effect of it's new, so it must be better. And I don't know if it actually is. I mean, I know a lot of you I get a lot of emails from people saying, it's about efficiency and if I can do things just a little bit faster. But I mean, what would be better than what Callie's experiencing there? I mean, really, if we're talking, if it was 2 seconds faster at something, that's nice. But does it really matter? Really? I mean, 2 seconds seems a long time. You
were just complaining about your start menus taking 8 seconds to load up, a 2 second difference.
Ridiculous.
Well, now it's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing, right? That actually managed to resolve itself, which is good. I mean, and I say resolve itself because I had no hand in it at all, other than pointing it at some drivers. You might want to download this and try that out. So it obviously resolved itself, and that's good. But it also shows that hardware, which is 5 years old, is still perfectly capable. I think this is the problem. It's an issue for smartphone companies, actually, Apple being one of them, but of course, for all of them. The hardware they're making today and have made over the last 10 years is actually really good. So even if you go back 5, 6, 7 years, the phones are still all right. They're still good. You're saying you've got the iPhone 12. I know our good friend Robin's just bought the iPhone 13 mini.
Yes.
I'm jealous, actually, because I'm like, I love the 13 mini. It's such a nice phone. The only thing that puts me off it is its battery life. Not even so much in the initial months, because even if it's got a new battery in it, okay, I'll get a decent amount of battery. And I've always said, we're never that far away from a charger. But, if it gets to a point that battery starts depleting very quickly, that to me is an issue. Yeah, and that is that was certainly the issue with the 12 mini. I remember that being a major issue.
Yeah.
But if you're at home a lot or you're traveling, you've got a power bank with you or a MagSafe battery pack, you can usually top these things up and keep it going, and it's never really been a problem. I think it's just we tell ourselves, we tell ourselves this idea that, we must have the latest and greatest because it's just better because it is. I don't actually think it is, to be honest.
We're all guilty of that. Well, there is.
I'm sitting here. I've got the 17 Pro. What am I talking? Now, I didn't buy this. Apple sent me it. That was great. I wouldn't have bought it, honestly, because I don't necessarily think, I've said it before, I don't think I would necessarily want to buy the iPhone 17 Pro. I don't even know if I want to continue using it as my daily driver because it's a great phone. It's a great phone. And it's not mine. Apple want it back at some point. But my point is, at this point, I'm testing it. But would I want to use it as a daily driver? I don't think I need what's in it. And it doesn't feel that different to the 16. It doesn't feel that different to my 15 that I had. Or probably the 14 or even the 13 mini before it. At the end of the day, for what I'm doing, it's fine.
In bits. You're going up in gradual upgrades here. It's like when I jumped from the Apple Watch Series 7 to the Series 11 that I've got now. It was a huge difference. Whereas if I'd gone 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I wouldn't have noticed it, right? So there is that aspect to it. I think there is a lot of that is placebo. I've got something new. It's the latest and greatest, therefore it must be better. And we do sort of perceive that. But also, I think it does come into the operating system as well. I gave Sarah the Apple Watch 7 and she had the 6 before it. Now, the 6 didn't update to watchOS 26. And you know what? It actually, the performance isn't bad. So with each update to the OS as well, with the new features that every Windows, Mac, whatever it is, brings in, that does have a performance hit. So you do notice that more on the older devices.
I think I often only really noticed major problems when it came to computing power with PCs, because if you think about it, right, iPhones, Macs, Android devices as well, none of them can go beyond their own capability in terms of the software. The software that's designed and goes on them, it has to be compatible with it. So there will come a point where the manufacturer will say, we no longer support any future updates on this particular device. There are people who would say, well, there's ways around that. You could potentially get the software on there, and maybe you could, and maybe it would be okay, but it's not recommended. Now, of course, the argument is, well, they want you to go out and buy a new phone. But my thinking is, well, surely then you would end up in a Windows scenario where, people are taking an old Dell Latitude of 20 years ago and trying to get Windows 11 running on it, which you could probably do.
Yep.
Actually quite easily. But what's that experience going to be like? It's going to be not great.
Well,
so I think that's the difference, right? It feels like with Mac and Apple, iPhones, and also, across the Apple ecosystem, but also across Android phones as well. There's now that cap of saying, right, we're going to just stop here. We're not going to give this any more updates, and it's not going to work.
It's not because it's technically impossible. It's just you won't get the experience we think you should have. Well, that was always Apple's reasoning.
Yeah. It would become sluggish. It would become problematic. So, that's the reason, Callie, why you're running that iPhone 12. You're running that with iOS 26, and it's fine because it's designed to be fine and run well on that hardware. I don't know if you'll get the next one.
Callie's talking about the camera specifically, though, not so much about the performance, right? She's talking about the camera performance. And
that goes back to my point about what's the difference between all these cameras. The truth is nothing. Yeah. Nothing.
Okay. Yes, we agree. Thank you, Callie.
So I think Callie, you agree with me, not him.
Hang on. Did they say they were agreeing with anyone?
She said she agreed with you, but I think she agrees with me.
Oh, no, I am right. Thank you, Callie.
Okay,
Take
excellent.
care.
Glad we cleared that up. What did we clear up? Right, let's talk about AI, because we haven't done that for a while. Let's talk about that with Allison Meloy.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun. It's Allison in Ohio, coming to you live from my Meta Ray-Bans first generation, eagerly awaiting the Oakley Vanguards. I got the black frames with the reflective gold lenses. I'm told they're quite beautiful, and while the glasses themselves look futuristic, they could also be appropriate for a professional setting. So I'm very excited about that, and just wanted to share that for anybody who had that question as well. But also, I share your shock, Stephen, that the software development kit and all of the upcoming excitement surrounding that has not been covered widely at all on podcasts, certainly not any of the other ones I listen to. And that's why I tune in so regularly to you guys, because this is going to, I think, change literally the face, haha, of blindness when we start to see some of these apps and services coming out on the glasses. I really feel that down to my very soul. And luckily, because of, my role professionally where I live, I am able to spread the word and the good news far and wide that this is happening. And I'm sure that there are those who wish I would shut up about it. But I think that it is just so very important that that we let people know that this is coming, so that individuals can make really good purchasing choices, because there are a lot of options out there right now. And I believe, part of informed choice obviously is information. So there are no other glasses out there currently, and this is not to knock anybody, that are even remotely allowing this level of openness and adaptability in terms of what you can do with them right now. Now, 3 months from now, if someone's catching up with this podcast later, that could have all changed. But right now, that's where we are. And so I feel like the information about what's going on with the Meta glasses just needs to be spread far and wide. You know what? You're always going to have issues with companies. There are going to be things that people disagree with about various companies for all kinds of reasons in our crazy world. But it doesn't change the good that they do. It doesn't change just this whole thing with AI in general and people's issues with it. It doesn't change the fact that I could say to my blind friend who sent me a fully featured beautiful photo description the other day, "Hey, I saw your picture. That's really cool." Allison 5 years ago, heck, 3 years ago, could not say that. So yeah, maybe I'm a little too glass half full and pro AI, but my God, I mean, what we can do now is so much more transformative than it was just a couple of years ago. Imagine 5-10 years ago. This is just a passion area for me. I know you get it. You get that we are at a watershed moment for blind people in tech history. And you don't think I'm over the top for saying that. And I appreciate that. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and talk to you soon.
I don't think you're over the top at all, Allison. I agree with you. I think that
You could hear the passion there about AI.
There is a huge caveat with all of that, of course. And I feel the need to say this, although I don't necessarily subscribe entirely to it. But of course, it is causing a lot of harm as well. And harm in terms of what is actually polluting the internet, in terms of the AI slop we hear about, the misinformation that's going on, the way that people's words can be turned against them. I mean, there's the way that someone can now have a video made about them or of them in a way that would be negative. So there are a lot of negatives, right? We have to. I feel we have to say that. No, it's not like a legal thing. I just think we have to say it because we have to kind of give it some perspective, right? But I also agree, and I'm more on the side of you, Allison, who says this is good news for disabled people. This is giving us unprecedented access to things we've never had before. And I think about images. I think about video, things that we would probably not have bothered with as much. I mean, I would certainly never have gone on holiday to Canada last year, I think it was last year, when we'd gone to Canada, and we had a wonderful time. I took all these pictures, and at the time, and I was taking them all because I had Meta Ray-Bans on. And I was really only excited in the fact I could take the pictures without having to worry about really what I was taking the picture of, right? Because I didn't have to worry about focusing the camera. I could just literally look in a direction and if I was doing a group shot with people, I could just say, everyone smile, everyone shout something, and then I would just click the button and look in their direction, and the picture was taken. And now I can bring those pictures home. Not only can I have them fully described, the videos I've taken, I can have them described as well. So it's brought all those things to life in a way that even at the time, even at that moment, I was thinking, oh, this is just cool, I can take pictures. Now I can actually go back to them and not just think, oh, great, I've got another 1,000 image dot whatever files in my, underscore 7835.jpg in my files. I actually now know what these things are. So yeah, I share your passion.
Every aspect of technology has got its negatives and positives, hasn't it? I mean, the social media springs to mind of, overwhelmingly people see it as a negative, but, as I mentioned, there's got positive aspects to it of bringing people together.
It brought all the disability communities together, blind people. I mean, look at the upset when, Elon Musk came in and fired the accessibility team, among others. And there was a huge concern around the impact this was going to have on disabled communities who had built up their communities online. People who
media.
Couldn't leave the house, weren't able to go and meet other people. This idea of get out there and meet people. When you're disabled, it's not as simple as that. It just isn't.
No.
Stop telling disabled people, get out the house and go and meet people. That doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. It's not that I'm negative about it. It's just that, that reality. I mean, going to a conference, and we've done a lot of conferences over the years. When we go to these things, they talk about networking and the value of networking. I honestly have very rarely found the value of networking because if I'm honest, I tend to just stand in a room wondering, who's here? I've got no idea.
Yeah.
And you got to be pretty confident to be able to just walk up to someone you don't have no idea.
Who are you?
And who are you? And that's if you can find them.
Yeah.
I've walked up to people before, they start talking to me, or they don't even talk to me, they walk away, and then suddenly I'm left talking to a lamp.
Yeah, I've talked to a few plant pots in my time, and I mean real ones.
I was going to say, I've met a few of those people as well. What a right plant pot he was.
I totally agree with you, Allison. The SDK from the Meta Ray-Bans is very, very exciting. I think they had to go that way, though, because I also am excited by the Android XR, and the possibility that Google, the new Google smart glasses, when they do arrive, could go the same way, with an open platform. That's all we want, is an open platform where anyone can write an app that could possibly help us. So.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. We'll come right back and get into more of your messages. If you want to get involved with the show, this is how. Double Tap thanks Turtleback Cases for supporting this podcast and for making some of the toughest, most ergonomic leather cases for accessible devices. These aren't gimmicks, they're custom-fitted, USA-made carry cases for the gear you depend on, including the Selvas Sense Player, Blindshell Classic 3, Mantis Q40, Orbit Reader 20, and more. Whether it's for school, work, or travel, Turtleback cases are built to protect your device wherever life takes you. Get 12% off with code DT12 and enjoy worldwide FedEx shipping with full tracking. Browse now at turtlebacklv.com.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Okay, let's get back into your messages then. And Jane is up next.
Hi, guys. When my child was very small, I've heard these things. 1. Hey, I'd love to adopt your baby. It must be so hard for you and your husband to care for her since he has to care for you. 2. You should be ashamed of yourself for having a child. You have no right to do that to your child. She'll have to care for you for the rest of her life. 3. Why didn't anyone call CPS, Child Protective Services, on you? How can you possibly take care of her? To be fair, we never had Child Protective Services called on us, but I wonder, was it because of my sighted husband? For the record, my child is now an adult, in college, almost halfway through a 5-year degree program for a major in architecture and a minor in law. She wants to focus on accessibility in architecture and figures the law will help her with that. Now, to bring this around to something positive that happened. A couple somethings. Please understand, we did not prompt our child to do any of these things. She just did them. When she was 3, she asked to talk to Santa Claus. All she wanted was for me to have my eyes fixed. I was torn between, "Oh, how sweet," and, "Oh my God, what does she think?" I chose to look at it as her just being compassionate in her own 3-year-old way. When she was 5, we were all going somewhere and we passed someone in a wheelchair. She asked the very logical question, "Why can't people in wheelchairs use the trolleys?" We had to explain that the wheelchairs can't fit on those. She got so upset when she understood in her head that people couldn't just go where they wanted to because of whatever disability they might have that prevented them from walking. She sat there in the hallway and had a meltdown and wouldn't calm down till we took her to talk to a customer service person to express her 5-year-old mad about the situation, demanding that they fix the trolleys and make it fair so anyone can use them. It hasn't happened yet, but the trolleys are due to be replaced eventually, and they are talking of making them flat so people in wheelchairs can just roll on board. This pleases me. Then there was the time when she was in 2nd grade and had to write a persuasive essay. Again, we did not even suggest the topic. She asked us if she could do this essay topic. She compared the Mac and Windows laptops since she had a Mac for personal use and a Windows PC for school, and wrote a 2-page essay attempting to persuade the school to switch from Windows to Mac. She had seen me use both and understood that the Mac had voiceover and that Windows, at the time, did not come with a screen reader built in. I had to install NVDA on the school laptop so I could check her work and things like that. It didn't get things changed, but her teacher took it seriously, passed it up to the principal, who liked it and passed it up. But it shows that she had the right idea even at that age, trying to make things better, and she stuck to it with her college degree. I can't help but be proud. I just wish those comments still did not hurt, remembering back, and I wish people didn't have such assumptions even now. From Jane.
Thank you, Jane. I mean, it's so tough to hear that, because you're right. Of course you're going to be affected by that. Why wouldn't you be? You're human, after all. And, let's remind people of that first off as well. I go back to a thing that I've talked about before, which is that we need to realize we have some control in this world. There's a lot of talk around, almost victimization of us as disabled people, often said by disabled people themselves. They don't come out with the words "I'm a victim," but they essentially say, "Well, I've no agency here, and I don't have the ability to deal with this or fix this issue, and someone else to fix it or whatever." And I think we need to take control where we can. And one thing we absolutely can take control of is our own emotions. We can control them. People think, well, that hurt me, that annoyed me. That's true, and it absolutely can hurt you and can annoy you. But then you have to make a decision about what to do next. I often akin it a little bit to grief. People talk about grief when you lose someone close to you. And there's always someone around you who will say, and it feels cliche when someone does say it, but they'll say, this will pass in time. This grief will pass. You will learn to live with this grief. And at the time you think, are you mad? There's no way I'm going to get over this.
Yeah, the world has stopped.
Yeah. You look around the world and you think, how is everybody still functioning today? How is this world continuing? I think a lot of us probably felt that after something like, I'm old enough and you're old enough to know about 9/11. We all looked around the world thinking, how do we continue on when this horrific thing has just happened? And so the reality is we do move on. We do find ways, and that's because we take control. We might not feel that way initially, but we do. And I think that's how we push past. And we have to remember that's important, to know we can do that and that we should try and do that. Because otherwise we're at the mercy of everyone else around us all the time. We're at the mercy of everyone else's viewpoint and position. And I hate to say it, Jane, I don't want to be negative at all about this, but we're going to face that time and time again. We're just going to keep facing it. It's going to happen again. It may happen to you again. It's going to happen to someone else again. It's going to happen to friends of ours again. It'll happen to you and I. It'll happen to all of us at some point. I cannot ever see a world where we're not going to get into a taxi, or I'm not going to get onto a bus, or I'm not going to meet someone in the street who doesn't have something negative, maybe meaning it in a kind way, but still negative viewpoint towards us. The person who said to you, I'm so glad I met you today because I feel so much better about my life. Which is a very positive statement when you actually just listen to the words. And it's the difference between words and intent. You know, if we
Yeah.
only care about the words, as I often say, the word police people drive me mad because all they'll focus on are the words. You got to focus on the intent. What that person said to you, words only, was actually quite a nice thing to say because they were nice words. But when you actually dig into the intent, it wasn't so nice.
Yeah, I mean, it just, again, those statements made, I've heard them, and sometimes it's where they come from as well. I mean, I've heard that from people, nurses and things like that, and you think, how on earth do people still have this perception of what a disability is, or how useless a disability can make you, in their heads? But you're absolutely right. I mean, it doesn't go away. Even if someone isn't saying that to you, and thankfully it hasn't happened a huge amount of times, enough times, but not all the time. But even if someone isn't saying that, you know that some people are going to be having that discussion behind your back about, I don't know how they cope or whatever else, So it is very difficult. But you're right. You just got to take control of that. I shout at people occasionally, but most of the time I'm, you just come back with kindness and try to explain stuff.
Yeah, and look, equally, I think what can get lost as well is that we do meet some amazing people through our lives. I've met some amazingly wonderful people.
Yep.
I was kind of got in a little bit of trouble with people who, when I was talking about journaling, people love to journal. Everyone loves to journal.
Oh, yeah, you hate them, apparently. Yeah, that's right.
I have no issue with the journaling. I have an issue with people who tell me they're journaling. And the same goes for kindness. I like kind people. But people who tell you they're kind, I am immediately, there's a red light starting to flash in my head. It's like, something's not quite right here. You're telling me too much. The kindest people I've met would never use the word kind, and to describe themselves. They would often say, "Oh, yeah, just a human being, trying to help along." And often I've found the people who have the least in the world are the most giving. That's been my experience of life generally. Yeah. And I've traveled a lot of amazing places, and so I've had that firsthand. Places where there might be huge amounts of crime, or parts of a city, for example, that are utterly terrifying to people. I actually find some of the kindest people. I think I told you the story of being in Birmingham in England, where I was walking through this underpass. I was completely lost. Going back to our conversation about GPS, took me a completely wrong way. I ended up under this bridge. And there's all these kids around. I say kids, I don't know how old they were, but let's say they were 18, maybe 17, 18. And I was fearing being there. I thought, oh my God, I've walked in totally the wrong part of time.
That, isn't it? Doesn't that make you feel the most vulnerable in the world?
And what do you do?
Scared here, but you do.
But what do you do? And I can't turn back because I may end up having to come back this way anyway. And then I've just made myself even more obvious to these people.
Yep.
Which I'm already obvious because I'm a blind guy walking around clearly lost. And my phone is out because I'm trying to figure out where I'm going. And then this guy comes up to me, 17 or 18, and he's like, "Hi, are you okay?" And of course, I'm very wary about it because you don't know what you're dealing with here.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm just trying to find a way to this hotel." He said, "You're not far. Would you like me to take you? Would you like my arm?" You could have flattened me with a feather. It just blew me away. And the other guys came along, they all came along, they're all like, "Have a nice day and thanks a lot." And that way I'm thinking, at that point, I'm like, every person I met that next day, I'm like, children are great. These people are good. We just need to stop talking down about these kids. They're really good. Now, of course, the next one I might meet might grab my wallet and run, right? I mean, I don't know.
But isn't that the same as those people's perceptions about us with a disability? Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, that's
some
true,
kids hanging around a subway, is going to be... this makes me incredibly nervous because they're going to rob me or hurt me in some way.
It's always a fear, isn't it? It really is. But honestly, Jane, I feel what you're saying. I really do. And I'm so glad that your kid is doing so well. It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, you should be proud. That
Absolutely
sounds amazing.
proud.
Your daughter sounds amazing.
She sounds fantastic. And, well, they always say, down to good parenting.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Jane, good luck. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that message. It means a lot. Let's go. Oh, this next one says unknown, so I have no idea who's coming up next.
Oh,
this will be interesting.
okay.
I love these ones. It's a mystery box we're going into. Oh, let's open up the mystery box. What shall be inside?
Good day, both Scott and Shaun. I just listened to the interview with the judge from Washington who I've heard before. Excellent interview. It brings up a question I'd like to hear discussed. What is the general feeling about the medical treatment throughout your life that you receive from ophthalmologists? any other people dealing with your eyes. My experience was I never found out what was wrong with my eyes. I went blind without ever knowing exactly. I think it was RP, but I'm not sure. I'm very upset with the medical profession because of that. Anyway, I'd like to hear a discussion from that viewpoint. Again, that was an excellent interview, and I think you should have the judge back just for a general discussion of things. He's good. Have a great day.
Thank you. I want to say that's Jim, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know
your voice, though. I do know your voice because we've heard from you before, but I think it might be Jim, but I could be totally wrong in that, so I apologize if it's not. Okay, medical treatment. Now, Shaun, I will say I think you've probably had more experience of this more recently than I have. My experience, honestly, was 14 years old. Nothing we can do for you. Good luck. And I asked if I would ever be able to drive, and he laughed in my face. That was my memory of a doctor.
Oh, that's not a good bedside manner at all, is it? I will say,
and look, I was 14. I was an idiot. Of course, I was never going to drive. But it wasn't the point. The fact is, he laughed in my face. Like, it probably did say, "Don't be stupid." You know, at that moment, there was like that kind of, there was I always remember this movie visually. I remember this scene as in Shrek, and there's a cat in it. And the cat looks up and it holds its little cat close, and its eyes are huge. Yeah. And it's like, will I ever be able to drive? No.
Slap you away.
Yeah, get lost.
Look, like we just talked about with our experiences with the public, right? Various people. I've had different experiences with different members of the medical profession as well. I found some very senior consultants that I thought were absolutely unsympathetic, no empathy, terrible bedside manner, very matter of fact, not taking into consideration where that, you as a patient were emotionally, for one thing. I mean, that time you you sat there and they say, there's nothing we can do. Because until that point, you think, it must be able to fix it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a life-changing moment. And I feel some people, and of course, they're busy and they're dealing with it and they got to distance themselves emotionally as well, but there's still a professional way to do with it. And I've experienced some consultants that are, I would say, just absolutely terrible. But at the same time, I've experienced some amazing people who totally who are quite happy to give you the time and just feel like you could have a conversation with. So I don't think there's a given, they're all terrible or they're all great. I've had good and bad experiences. But the trouble is, as I mentioned before, when it's someone in that sort of profession where you expect more of them, when you do get a bad experience, it really stings and it really stands out. Like I said, when our children were born in the hospital, I still remember, this was, nearly 30 years ago, I remember the nurse saying, well, of course you're going to need to get someone in to help you. And more than that, actually. And you know what? It still sticks with me now. You think people just, I don't know. In general, though, my experience has been good. Not too bad at all, I must say.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, you talk about bedside manner and they're medical and they, need to distance themselves. But then I think about, like, the amount of times that I've had interactions with paramedics, either for myself, although in fairness, the one time I had an interaction with paramedics for myself, I don't really have any recollection of ever meeting the paramedic because I wasn't really available to have a conversation at the time. Well, I was the most quiet I'd ever been because I was nearly dead. But I survived. Hooray! That is good news, right? Yeah, that's good news. But, for my family and all that, I mean, amazing people, just really comforting, helpful, considering the hell they go through most of the time.
And also incredibly funny, right? They always diffuse it with humor, but when they need to, they can do that real connection with you. And again, we're generalizing a lot here. But on the whole, I totally agree with you. People
Shaun,
at the front line.
There's good and bad in everyone.
In everyone, yes. We should learn to live and learn to love each other.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I wonder why Stevie will never come on this show.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, you made him cry.
Butcher
I
his
remember
songs
that.
and I make him cry. Yeah, I didn't mean to make him cry.
I think you stood on his foot.
My knee was sore because I was kneeling next to him and he was holding on to me, which was lovely. It was a beautiful moment. But
I think I was pushing you away.
I was very selfish in that moment. I'm thinking my knee's really hurting kneeling here.
Yeah. That was Stevie's bodyguards, to be fair.
That's probably true. Yeah, standing on my neck, saying, "Goodness me, get this guy out of here." But yeah. Thank you for that. Really appreciate that message. And all these messages were really interesting. Let's go to Brian, who says, don't rely on the cloud. Okay.
Oh.
I am no techno wizard, but isn't this basic schoolboy error? Put all your eggs in one basket, rely on cloud services for storing your information, and when it goes down, don't panic, Mr. Mannering. With all the hard drives, thumb drives, memory cards, etc. now available at fairly low cost, why are we reliant on saving our information on the cloud? It's obvious at some time it's going to crash. If the cloud loses your stuff and you've got it backed up yourself, then you can start again. If the cloud loses it or you can't access it, you're up the creek without a paddle, so to speak. From Brian.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. You know, if you're putting all your stuff in the cloud, I mean, I suppose the side of it I think about is I've got a situation right now where I have a hard drive which has got a lot of stuff on it for the show, and it's not backed up at the minute. And I'm like, oh, what do I do if this drive dies? And guess what? The drive is now starting to not react particularly well to things. And I'm like getting a bit worried. So, you know, it's that kind of thing of if it's in the cloud, at least I can always pull that data back down. I think the problem is we've got this new fear around what's happening to that data, who could access it, what happens if a service goes under, you know, what happens to our data then?
Yeah, I think this is referring to the recent outage through AWS, Amazon Web Services, which took down a lot of apps. I mean, not necessarily for cloud storage, but you know, a lot of apps rely on cloud computing. And if one of these services, because there's not a huge amount of options out there, so one of these services go down, as we realized, you know, a lot of services go down as well. But, you know, it's just convenience. That's what it comes down to. It's you know, cloud storage, let's stick with that, is just very convenient. It works well. You know, lots of people have nice, fast, always-on internet connections. It does kind of make sense in places. But you're absolutely right. Look, if we're being totally practical about it, you should always have a local backup and an off-site backup, which arguably is where the cloud comes in. But sometimes we're just, you know, we do things for convenience.
I mean, I think about something like iPhotos or Photos as it is now on iPhone. If you don't have a Mac or you don't have a computer that's connected to your iCloud account in any way, then all your photos aren't really with you anymore, ever. They're always on your phone, and there's like maybe a low-res version. You can, of course, choose to download the full-size, high-res versions.
Full res.
But, of course, that takes up a lot of space on your phone, right? So you need a huge amount of space on your device to do that. And, of course, then you could take iTunes backups or whatever it would be these days. I don't do that because I use iCloud, but you could bring backups to your computer, I suppose. Again, if you have that. I'm just thinking of someone who perhaps just has an iPhone and use my wife, for example. She doesn't use a computer. She just uses her phone for everything. All her stuff is on her phone. Now, the upside is, as happened once, she lost her phone and we were able to walk into the Apple store and she didn't understand how this worked. She was really panicking about it. And, you know, they were able to bring all of her data back because it was all backed up in the cloud. It was all backed up and she was able to get the data, pull or get the phone hooked up and get all the data pulled back down onto the device. And that gave her such a comfort because everything was safe. I think it depends. I think it also depends on where you go. I mean, it's like if you search for storage providers for iCloud or for cloud storage, I should say, you're going to get a lot of options. And, you know, I know some people love to delve into the terms and conditions. I don't, but I tend to go for the bigger players. I think about the Dropbox or Google Drive or iCloud or OneDrive. You know, these companies to me are, I mean, you know, you could argue about all of them, but I would say they're the safer options to go for. Of course, the reliability goes in two ways, right? It's about where the data is, how safe it is, and also how easy it is to access it if the whole thing collapses. And that's, of course, what happened with this AWS outage, where, you know, people couldn't connect to services like that, and that data would not be able to be connected to. Although in saying that, I have a little home server that I use where all my drives are connected. Other day, it did an update. It wouldn't log back in. I couldn't access anything on my server. So, what's the difference, really?
Yeah.
Well,
true.
one difference, actually, I was able to get into the server and open it back up again. So that was good.
Yeah, because you could physically get hands-on with it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, arguably, putting your eggs all in one basket, you could say the same thing for just using an external hard drive.
Well,
right?
that's true, yeah. It's exactly the same.
Could be the same thing. You need two options, really. But yeah, thank you.
I think it's a quick one. Well, no, we don't have time. No, we don't.
No, we're out of time.
It was so close, but sadly not. I was hoping to get one more in there, but we're kind of just coming up to the end of time. Not the end of time. I mean,
Yeah, we're coming.
I think I do believe. I'm just checking in, but I think time will continue after this episode.
Bad bedside manner. It's the end of time.
Got some bad news for you folks. This is how you spent your last moments on Earth, with us talking about I have no idea what.
I've got to say, though, thank you so much for all your feedback. We have been going through a lot recently, trying to catch up on things, and it just blows me away every time. Taking the time to send us the feedback, the messages, the emails, however you do it. Really appreciate it. It really does make the show. Thank you.
And that's why we take the time with Laura reading the emails, and also it's why we take time to curate them properly so that, we can respect that properly. Otherwise, we would try and condense them or, shorten them down. We don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. I want to give the emails the time to breathe. Sometimes we'll do that on the Double Tap Extra, which, by the way, is available on a podcast client near you. There will be a new episode coming up this weekend. Yes.
Oh, do I just search for Double Tap Extra in my favorite podcast
any
app?
podcast app you choose? Yes.
Ah, very good.
And if it's not there, then blame Shaun Preece.
Okay. Yep. It's my fault. Sorry about that.
That is it for us for this week. Thank you so much. We, of course, had a wonderful week at Site Village in London. We'll be bringing you all the coverage of that next week, so make sure you stick around for that. And of course, as I say, new episode on Double Tap Extra, which you can check out at the weekend on your podcast client of choice. Until Monday, though, have a great weekend. We'll catch you then. Shaun, thank you.
Thank you. Double Tap Solo.